Hello there, I'm Jimmy Vegas and welcome to the 14th video in a series of game development tutorials on how to make your own 3D platform game in Unity 6. In this tutorial we'll be advancing our main menu with some more buttons, sound effects, music, as well as getting all the scenes to link together properly. Remember to subscribe and click on the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial I upload. Feel free to leave a comment and drop a like. I also have a Patreon page where you could help be a part of this channel, and you'll also find all the scripts and the assets to this series there too, along with plenty of other things. You can also now join as a free member. Now, on with the tutorial. So, up to now we have a very simple main menu with just a start button. We need to add multiple things to this now to give it a bit more immersion. And what we'll start by doing is bring in some audio. So if we go to our audio folder, go to BGM, let's bring in some sound for the menu itself. Let's drag and drop this. And you can go to the pinned comment, download these audio clips for free. Let's go to effects and let's import the button press sound effect. There we go. So now what we need to do is let's attach these two sounds to our game. So let's go to menu controls. Let's go to create empty and we'll call this BGM. So just drag and drop the background music of the main menu onto it. Let's have loop ticked so it does repeatedly loop itself. I'm going to lower the volume down just a touch, and then what we'll do is go to menu controls again, right click, create empty, and we'll call this button press, and then drag and drop the sound effect of button press onto there, and untick play on awake. So we only want this audio sound to trigger via script. We don't want it to play on its own. And we'll do that via the scripting a little later on in this tutorial. For now, let's press play and just see how the music sounds. It should be okay, I think. You're free to use any kind of music that you want to. Like I say, these are absolutely free. There's no copyright on them. You can use them wherever you want to. So let's see how it sounds. Cool. That's fine. So obviously, click start and we go to our game. So this is the bit now where I want to go further and make this a bit more immersive. And what I want to do is start by having a fade out screen. So let's go to game object. In fact, did we have one previously? I think we did, didn't we? Rather than create one, let's just use the one we had previously. So let's go to scenes. We'll need to save the scene, won't we? So level 1. Let's save our main menu. Let's go to our canvas and let's take our fade out screen. So let's copy that, head back to our main menu, click in the hierarchy and paste it. And make sure you drag and drop it onto the canvas, because if you don't, it will not work. Anything UI based always needs to be inside the canvas. Now, if I take this and press play, we should actually see it fade out. So we know that it works in both scenes. Let's just make sure we are all good to go with it. There is our fade out. Perfect. So let's turn that off again. And now let's let's duplicate this button. So let's go to start game, hold control and press D. That will duplicate it. Let's go to our move tool and just bring it down here for now. And we'll call this quit game. So rename it to quit game. And then let's go to the text and change the text to say, I'll just call it quit. So it currently looks like that. And what I might do is change the highlighted colour to more of a reddy orange kind of colour. So now both the buttons should effectively display the same, but obviously if you hover over them, they change different colours. You don't have to if you don't want to, it's just something cool, you know, because quit, bad, red, whatever. But what we'll do is we will add a method now for quit game, and then we'll modify the start game button to incorporate the sound effects as well as the fade out. So let's go to our scripts folder and let's go to main menu control. Let's start by creating a new method. So let's go below public void start game and let's go public void quit game, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And all we need to say is application dot quit, open close bracket, semicolon. And we'll save that script for now. And let's go and attach this to the button itself. We won't test it out. The reason we won't test it out is because it won't work. Now, whenever you play a game inside the engine itself, When you use something like application.quit, it won't function because it's not an application. It's not its standalone application. It's in engine. So that means that the button will not function. However, when we get around to actually building and testing the game, it will indeed function because we will have that standalone application, so as the button will then work. But for all intents and purposes, let's make sure we have it attached to our button. So quit game, because we duplicated start game, already has this here. It already has the menu control, and the function is already pointing to main menu control, so we just need to change the method in main menu control to quit game. So now whenever we press this, it runs that quit game method. So next thing what we need to do is we need to essentially create get the script to create the wait for the fade and then change the scenes. So I want to go back to Visual Studio and I want to go to respawn level, because the idea of what happens here is, remember that this just basically takes us to a level, right? However, when we get to level finish, is it level finish? Which one is it? I think it might be fall off. Yes, there we are, fall off. That's the one I'm looking for. We had the coroutine of respawn and we had to wait 2 seconds. We have to effectively do the exact same thing in our main menu control. So whenever we want to wait for any amount of time, we use a coroutine. So what we'll do is, although we're having currently the scene manager go to whatever scene it is as soon as we press start game, this is going to have to change. It's going to have to go into a coroutine. So let's start by creating that coroutine sequence. So let's go below public void quit game, and let's say enumerator, and we'll call this play the game, open close bracket, open curly bracket. And the first thing we want to do is say yield return new, wait for seconds, and we'll say 2 for now. The next thing we want to do is basically go to the scene, and you'll see how all of this kind of works eventually. But if we copy that line of code and place it just below there, get rid of it in there, and let's go down a couple of lines and we'll say start coroutine, and in brackets the name of that coroutine, so play the game, open close bracket semicolon. And what we'll need to do now is add a couple of variables. So the variables we need is going to be the fade out as well as the sound effect for the button press. So let's go to the top of our class and we'll say serialize field audio source, and we'll have this as button press with a semicolon, and then serialize field again, but it won't be audio source. I've pressed tab there to kind of autofill, and I shouldn't have done. I should have just typed serialize field. Game object, and it'll be fade out. So we use these 2 variables now to create that sequence of events. So as soon as we press the button, we need to say button press dot play, open close bracket semicolon, and then fade out dot set active true semicolon, and then after that our coroutine will play, which means we'll then wait for 2 seconds while the button press sound plays, while the fade out happens, and then we take ourselves into the game. So you can see that sequence of events of a more slightly advanced main menu starting here. So I'm going to save that script and head back into Unity. And we'll quickly check this out, make sure it works once we have attached all our variables and everything. Give it a second just to compile. Good old Unity. I feel like it does this every single tutorial where it just wants to take a break. Okay, so let's go to our main menu controls. Let's add in button press. So, not BGM, don't know why I've done that. Button press and fade out. And let's press play and see how all of this now comes together. So hopefully we should be able to, I'll tell you what, let's start by having a look at whether the application.quit actually turns red or orange, and it does. Cool. Like I say, it won't work. Start game. Cool. Fade out and into our game. Awesome. So the last thing I kind of want to do, I know it's very primitive, but we don't have a name for this game, but let's put something at the top and let's make some kind of a quick animation for it to say, oh, this is our game. We've dealt with animations before, obviously with fade in and fade out, so we're going to go with a slightly different type of animation in this one. Let's go to game object, let's go to UI, let's go to text, and obviously you can use anything you want as a logo here. You know, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to have text like I'm doing. Game logo. I'm going to bring it up here. It is in the center. I'm going to anchor it top center. I'm going to call it I don't know, Gem Rush Run. I don't know, something like that. Let's have it bold. Let's use the tool, the rect tool. Make the box bigger. Let's bring it into center. Let's align everything. Let's make the text much bigger. How's about 150? Yeah, it's quite large, but that'll do. Gem Rush Run. I want to have it as red, and that'll do for now. So it's going to look like that. But let's create an animation to make it change, I guess. So let's go to animation. And let's go to create, and we'll have this as logo anim. And let's press record, and let's set a couple of things. Now previously all we've done is set in the keyframe is the alpha. So what I want to do is set the first keyframe as red. I want to set the font size as 150, and what else should we set? Let's set the Y position as -143. So what we're going to do is we're going to change things, the position of it on the Y-axis, the font size, as well as the colour. That's why we've set the first keyframes for each of those, because they're the things we're going to change in the animation. So after 1 second, which is 60 frames, I want to have the position of this at -133, and I want to have the font size as 140 and the color as green, I guess. And then after another, I don't know, 60 frames, let's do 120. Let's have it as blue. Let's have the font size as 130, and let's have the position as -123. So then again, after another 60 frames, let's have this back as -133. Let's have it as 140, and then let's have the color as pink, I guess. And then finally, let's do 240. Let's have it back as like a whatever the original color was. I'll check that, but I'll change it. Font back at 150. Position back at -143, and I am going to press the record button now to stop that animation. I'm going to go back to the first keyframe, and I am going to copy the hexadecimal. Okay, I'm going to press record again and go back to frame 240, and then change the hexadecimal down here back to the original color. So now what it will do is the animation will look like it's looping constantly, because the final keyframe and the first keyframe are identical. So it will do everything in between and it'll merge itself. So when it loops, it looks normal. So let's press play and see how that looks. Hopefully it looks somewhat decent. I've not actually tested this out yet, so as long as we get some kind of animation in, it looks okay. I guess that's the important thing. Yeah, that'll do the trick. Gem Rush Run. What a name for a game. Cool. Obviously quit don't work. Start game. Now, what we've seen there is ordering in the hierarchy. Now, I'm conscious that this tutorial may have gone on longer than I would have liked, but let's change the ordering in the hierarchy. So it's important to know that the fade out should always come at the bottom, so then it'll fade out over everything else. So let's drag the game logo up and over fade out, press play, and just make sure that the fade out now covers our game logo whenever we press the play game or start game button. Give it a moment to do this, and then finally, let's make sure this works. Excellent. So everything works as intended. So our main menu is coming together a bit more usefully now. So next tutorial, what I want to do is I want to create a new level. And I want to be able to move to that new level when we create, when we finish the first level. So then we're going to start getting a proper level sequence going. So remember to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay up to date with every tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one.